Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have the first of the World's Worst Children 3 by David Walliams. Much anticipated, and we'll get straight into the first story, which is The Terrible Triplets. Once upon a time, there was a set of terrible triplets. Their names were Tom, Dick and Harry. Sometimes when you have sets of triplets, you have a mixture of nice ones and naughty ones. All three of these triplets were naughty. Tom, Dick and Harry had been born just moments apart, fighting their way out of the womb, trying to elbow each other aside to see who could be first. You see, all three of them wanted to be top dog. As a result, their lives became a non-stop struggle over who was the best at something. These being three of the world's worst children, they wanted to be the best at bad things only. Very bad things. When they were babies, Tom, Dick and Harry would battle over who could bawl the loudest. Break their toys the fastest. Bash! Chew through the bars in their cot first. Munch! Create the most mess on the walls with their crayons. Soak their poor mother with the most water. Spat from the bath. Splosh! Flick their baby food the furthest. Splat! Wipe the most dirt from their hands onto the curtains. Wipe! Guzzle down the most milk. Guzzle! Do the smelliest burps. Bah! Leave the biggest deposit in their nappy. When they were toddlers, the triplets would tussle over who could go fastest in the trolley down the supermarket aisles and knock over the largest number of old ladies. Whiz! Burst over other children's balloons at the fun fair with a drawing pin and make them cry. Pop! Overfeed their goldfishes so they were bigger than their bowls. Blur. Do the smelliest blow-offs while sitting on Father Christmas's knee. Pooh! Build the rudest snowman. This was all about where you place the carrot. Tee-hee. Spoil story time by eating as many of the books as they could. Crunch. Slam the piano lid down the hardest on their nursery teacher's fingers when it was sing-song time. Twang! Ouch! Ruin another child's birthday party the quickest. This might be by cheating at all the party games, opening all their presents, or stuffing the whole birthday cake in their mouths. Candles and all. No! Play the worst tricks on their father. Tom put his father's underpants in the deep freeze, so when he put them on his bottom turned blue. Dick swapped his father's hair gel with glue, so his comb became stuck to his head. Gloop. Harry switched his parents' bed for a trampoline, so when his father jumped on it, he bounced right up to the ceiling and ended up clinging to the light shade. Help! When Tom, Dick and Harry started at school, the scraps became fiercer still. They would fight over who could sneeze the loudest during tests when everyone had to be silent. Tissue! Tissue! Hurl jellies the longest distance in the school canteen. Splat. Spray their pee furthest from the toilet bowl. Harry managed 10 metres. Hooray! Boot the ball the hardest at the PE teacher as he refereed a football match. Oof! Write the crudest thing on the school bus window. Get in the biggest trouble on the school trip to the local pantomime by catapulting toffees at Widow Twanky. Ouch! Ruin the Christmas Carol concert by making monkey noises instead of singing. Ooh, 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 ooh. Cover the art teacher in the most clay when making a pot on the potter's wheel. Splat. Make the biggest explosion in science class. Tie the most children's laces together. Kaboom! On the start line of a running race so they tripped over. Whenever this trio did something cruel to others, they would laugh. Not a nice, happy laugh, but a mean, mocking laugh. As you can imagine, because they were always competing for who could be the worst of the worst, these terrible triplets had upset absolutely everyone with whom they'd ever come in contact, and many more besides. As they grew up, Tom, Dick and Harry spent their time desperately trying to outdo each other with their grossness. Tom took to eating his own earwax. He would spend all day and night with his little fingers in his ears, digging the smelly yellow putty out. Tom slept on the top bunk in the bedroom. "Shut up and look at me!" he would shout down. Then, to Dick and Harry's horror and delight, he would eat the earwax, even though it tasted like licking a rusty climbing frame. Dick was not to be outdone. He took to sticking his fingers up his nose and rooting out the biggest, stickiest bogies he could find stuck up there. The boy could stick the bogies to each other until he had what looked like a huge green icicle. Then he would shout from the middle bunk, "Shut up and look at me!" When he and his brothers had attention, he would then proceed to suck on the icicle, which tasted like a rotten cabbage lolly. Down on the bottom bunk, Harry was feeling a little left out. How could he outdo the other two? Harry had a belly button that was always full of fluff, sweaty, manky, disgusting balls of who knew what. As soon as he'd plucked the revolting globule out of his belly button, he shouted, "Shut up and look at me!" The fluff tasted like something you might find at the bottom of a deep, dirty bog. In a word, yucksome. One night, the boys' long-suffering mother stepped into their bedroom, something she tried not to do too often, to read them a nice bedtime story. "Hello, dear children, it's your mama," she announced brightly. Mother was a lovely lady who smelled as sweet as the delicious cakes she baked for the local church fete. Life had delivered her a cruel blow when she gave birth to these three horrors. The three boys all sniggered conspiratorially. It may come as no surprise to you that their father had long since run away from home. The poor man couldn't take the daily dose of torture any more and had travelled as far as he possibly could, then a little bit further still. The forwarding address he left read simply North Pole. Holding a copy of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Mother deftly dodged the traps the boys had laid out for her, the roller skate, the marbles, the toy cars, all carefully placed so the poor lady would slip over and land on her bottom. Mother perched tentatively on the end of the middle bunk. To her horror, she spotted that her middle son, Dick, was chomping on something green and sticky. Chomp. "What on earth are you eating, dearest Richard?" she asked. "It's a collection of my bogies. Do you want to try?" The other two boys sniggered. "No, I do not want to try." The poor lady looked close to tears. "For goodness sake, why are you eating that?" "It's one of my 5 a day," he replied. 5 a day means fruit or vegetables, my sweetness. Bogies are neither." "They are green, though," said Dick. Tom and Harry sniggered again. "I don't care if they're green. You're not to eat your own bogies." "How about other people's bogies?" asked Dick cheekily. The top and bottom bunks rocked with laughter again. "No," bawled Mother. "Please, please. Why couldn't I have had 3 nice boys?" she wondered aloud. Munch came a sound from the bottom bunk. "Harry, what, pray tell, are you eating?" "It's just a ball of belly button fluff." "Oh dear," began Mother. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." There weren't enough "oh dears" in the world to express how she was feeling. "And dare I ask, sweet, lovely Thomas, what you are eating?" "Some nice, fresh earwax." Mother's nose wrinkled in horror. She looked close to tears. "Oh, the humanity! You boys are rotters! Do you hear me? Absolute rotters!" "Yeah, we know," replied Tom. "Rotten, rottering, rottersome rotters." "I wondered why you weren't hungry at mealtimes when I served up my delicious trifles. Now I know," began Mother. "But boys, please mark my words." She looked at them all one by one and spoke in hushed tones. "If you eat too much of something, you will turn into it." "Yes, right," said Harry sarcastically. "This is our room," said Dick. "Get out." "Boring goody-goody grown-ups are not allowed." "Don't you worry, I'm going. But for your own good, listen to what I say," said Mother, and she spun on her heel and left. The lady hadn't allowed for the skateboard that had been placed right in her path. She stepped on it and whizzed across the room. "Ah!" before landing on her bottom with a thud. "Good night, dearest Mummy," called out all the 3 boys in unison as the tearful lady fled out of the door. If you told Tom, Dick and Harry not to do something, they would do it even more. Their whole lives were a competition to see who could be the worst of the worst. The worstest. The worsterest. The worsterestest. This was the triplets' chance to find out once and for all who was the grossest of the 3. So they began storing their chosen foods in larger and larger quantities. Tom began to stockpile his earwax, keeping it in an empty jigsaw box at the end of his bed. Dick picked and picked and picked his nose and stuck all his bogies to each other. Soon he had a bogey stalactite as tall as he was. Harry collected his balls of belly button fluff and placed them in a chocolate box. This plan went awry when their elderly grandmother visited and assumed they were indeed chocolates, and scoffed the lot. "These chocolates taste hairy," she muttered as she plopped another in her mouth. The 3 laughed. With all his own balls of belly button fluff gone, Harry went to all the grubbiest boys in the school and plucked out theirs. "Give me that! Get off! I want your fluff! Ouch! Just hold still! Leave my belly button alone, you brute!" So, with these added donations, Harry soon had a full box of stomach-churning delights. Finally, the 3 boys were ready to begin their scoffing competition. The feast was to be at midnight. They slid out of their bunk beds and tiptoed down the stairs. They took their places around the kitchen table, 3 big plates of their repulsive foods in front of them. As the clock in the hallway chimed midnight, the race began. Tom munched his way through the mountain of earwax. "Look at me," he declared. "I'm the grossest of us all." Dick devoured a bogey that was nearly as big as he was. "No, no, no," said Dick. "Look at me. I'm so gross I make you look like Goldilocks." Meanwhile, Harry scoffed a whole box of fluff balls. "The two of you are nothing but a pair of goody gumdrops. Bow down before me, the grossest boy who ever walked the earth." This was the most repulsive midnight feast ever, and despite all their bravado, the three boys began to feel quite ill. As the boys ate and ate and ate, the strangest thing happened. Slowly, Tom's skin began turning yellow. Soon he was not just yellow, but also shiny, just like the earwax he was devouring. Meanwhile, Dick was turning as green as the Incredible Hulk. However, unlike the Incredible Hulk, Dick was becoming disgustingly sticky. As for Harry, he was slowly turning into a giant ball of fluff. Hair was sprouting everywhere. He even had hair growing out of his hair. The terrible triplets were so intent on munching as much as they could, as fast as they could, that they didn't notice what was happening to them. Munch, gulp, slap. "I can eat the fastest," bragged Tom. "I can eat the most," bragged Dick. "I can eat the most, the fastest," bragged Harry. Munch, gulp, slurp. They raced and raced through their snacks of doom. "Finish!" shouted the three boys in unison. "It's a dead heat," yelled Tom. "We're as gross as each other," added Dick. "But we have to be the grossest children in the world," concluded Harry. They all sniggered together. After all that scoffing, the three felt more than a little unwell. Though nobody wanted to admit it, they went back to their bunk beds, farting and burping, hoping the awful feeling coming from their tummies would have worn off by the morning. How wrong they were. At 7 o'clock, their mother knocked on the bedroom door. "Wakey, wakey, rise and shine, time to get up, my angels," she called out brightly. One by one, the three boys began to stir. From the top bunk, Tom peered down to Dick. He couldn't believe his eyes. Pointing at his brother, he burst out laughing. "What?" demanded Dick. "You look like a humongous bogey," replied Tom. "Do I?" said Dick. "Well, you look like a great big globule of earwax." "Do I?" "Yes, you do," chimed in Harry. "You both look like something from a horror movie." A smug expression fixed on his face. "I would wipe that smile off your face if I were you," said Tom. "Why?" asked Harry. "Because you have turned into a giant ball of belly button fluff," replied Dick. The three boys darted out of their bedroom to the bathroom. They all wrestled for a look at themselves in the mirror. "Ah!" they screamed in unison. In no time, their mother rushed into the bathroom. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear! What are you yelling about now?" she demanded. As soon as she caught a glimpse of her sons, she screamed too. "Ah!" The three boys felt very sorry for themselves and in unison burst into tears. "Wah! Mummy," began Tom. "Help me! I'm a giant piece of earwax." "Help me, Mummy! I'm a great big bogey," confessed Dick. Mummy, please, please help me. I'm half boy, half belly button fluff," blubbed Harry. Mother studied her youngest son for a moment. "I would say you were a quarter boy, 3/4 belly button fluff." Harry's bottom lip quivered, and tears streamed down his furry face. "Now I'm not just hairy, I'm wet and hairy." Mother shook her head and sighed. "You didn't listen, did you? Now, what did I tell you?" The triplets thought for a moment. "Don't tie next door's cat's tail to the newspaper boy's bicycle?" guessed Tom. "No," replied Mother. "Don't burn all your dresses in a bonfire as a joke?" guessed Dick. "No," said Mother. "Not specifically that, but obviously please don't do that again." "I've got it," announced Harry. "Don't swap the Rice Krispies with gravel." "No," snapped Mother loudly. It was so loud, she shocked herself. "Oh dear, now, where was I? Yes, I said if you eat too much of something, you will turn into it." "Oh yeah," they replied in unison. They weren't the smartest of children. "Now come on, boys, it's time to get ready for school." "We can't go to school like this," protested Tom. "We look ridiculous," added Dick. "We'll be a laughing stock," begged Harry. "This is what I am hoping," said Mother with a wicked glint in her eye. "Come along, chop chop." As the lady led her terrible triplets into the playground that morning, the entire school turned round. They couldn't believe their eyes. "Look, a giant bogey boy!" shouted one child on seeing Dick. "And a great big shaft of earwax!" hollered another, pointing at Tom. No, look, a huge hairy ball of belly button fluff!" bellowed a third, indicating Harry. The terrible triplets were now as revolting as each other. Needless to say, all the children in the playground, who had all been terrorised by the three boys over the years, burst out laughing. They laughed and laughed and laughed. Laughed the children. Tom, Dick and Harry had to stand there and take it. At last, they'd had a taste of their own medicine. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. That was the first story from David Walliams' The World's Worst Children 3. And I will be back soon with lots more on my channel, lots more stories coming your way, including the other stories from this fabulous book by this fantastic author. And I will be back very, very soon. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel or hit a like, that'd be much appreciated. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Goodbye.